Last summer, when word got out that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, was opening a new office in downtown Portland, a lot of people were angry. Protests were staged, petitions for the office's removal were signed, and some city leaders questioned their policies.
Well, today, the agency's acting director, Matt Albence, came to Portland to respond to some of that criticism, and he sat down with News Center Maine's Shannon Moss. Shannon's here now with more on what he had to say.
Yeah, well, Pat and Cindy, Director Albence is the highest-ranking ICE official in Washington with a lot to say about his agency and what he says is misinformation surrounding the work his officers do. Now, last November, you may remember we did a story on the division of ICE that is housed at one city center. That is the Office of Homeland Security Operations, or HSI, which focuses on more than 400 transnational crimes like human trafficking, child exploitation, narcotics, and gang activity. HSI has had offices in Maine for decades, and so has the other division of ICE, Enforcement and Removal Operation, or ERO. That is the side of the agency that identifies, arrests, and removes undocumented immigrants who are a risk to national security, are engaged in criminal activity, or they're here illegally. ERO has an office in South Portland. Director Albence says the biggest misinformation in regards to what ERO does is who they arrest and how they go about doing it. Albence says 90% of people ERO arrests are either convicted criminals, have a pending criminal charge, is a fugitive, meaning they've already gone through the process, were ordered removed by a judge and failed to comply, or they were deported and re-entered.
We prioritize our resources on those individuals who pose the greatest threat to our public safety. Do we do so at the exclusion of other individuals who are here illegally? No, absolutely not. We are sworn to uphold all the laws of this country that we have the authority to do.
Since last April, more than 700 asylum seekers have come to Maine from the southwest border, most of them from Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Many of them telling us at the time through interpreters that they were fleeing their respective countries for a better life. Many of the asylum seekers are fearful they will be profiled, picked up, arrested, or even deported. I asked the director if those asylum seekers have anything to worry about.
If they came here as asylum claimants and they're going through that court process, then ultimately, unless they get involved in other criminal activity, we would not take enforcement action against them. There would not be grounds to do so. But at the end of that court process, if the judge orders them or denies their asylum application and orders them removed, then they will be subject to enforcement action.
During our interview, I also asked the director about the border crisis. Is there still a border crisis? And about the separation of families at the border. We're going to hear what he has to say about that and much more coming up tomorrow at 6.
All right.
Thanks,
Very
Shannon.
good. Thanks.